No doubt there have been some misgivings about the outcome of the 2023 presidential and National Assembly elections, especially with the outcomes as it were. But what is most disturbing here is the fact that the DSS has alleged plots to threaten the inauguration of the president-elect. This has elicited of war words between the opposition parties and the ruling party, with the opposition party asking the DSS to name names of those involved in this plot to disrupt the inauguration of Mr. President. These and lots more will form the bulk of our conversation today on Politics Today on independent television and radio. My name is Sonny Duke Okosun, your host on the program. Also joining me for today's program, I'd like to thank very especially the National President of Human Rights Defenders Association is joining us via Zoom from Warri Delta State, Barrister Kesley Omerabo. Omerabo, thank you for joining us on Politics Today.
Thank you so much. Thank you, viewers.
We also have with us in the studio a former chairman of the Nigerian Society, Benin branch, as a matter of fact, two-time chairman of the Nigerian Society of Engineering Benin branch, Engineer Kayode Adenichi. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
You're welcome. Good morning, viewers.
Also with us in the studio, a constitutional lawyer, public affairs commentator, Barrister Greg Iyayi. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Good morning, viewers, and happy new month.
As usual, we will avail you the opportunity to contribute to the discussion, but we need to set the ground rules. We love you to ensure that whatever contribution that you make, you do not cast aspersion on anyone or make spurious allegations. Ensure that you're factual, you're as brief as possible, and we can have a very meaningful conversation. Well, as I said before, the focus of our discussion is alleged threat to inauguration of the president-elect with a ban on protest for Inauguration Day by the federal government. That is attracting a whole lot of reactions across the country. But in the later part of the show, we also will be keeping you up to speed with some of the issues that are dominating the political space by letting you know what's trending. Once again, welcome on board the show. Remember, all our social media platforms are up and running. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. You can follow us on at ITV Radio NG. You can follow me also on my personal Twitter handle at Duke Okosun. Let's get the conversation started. Let's link up with the constitutional human rights lawyer, Barrister Kesley Omerabo, who is joining us from Warri Delta State. Barrister Omerabo, thank you so much again for being a part of this conversation. The issue of alleged plots to truncate the inauguration of the president-elect on May 29 is gathering storm with all the reactions that are trailing it. People have said that these are perhaps attempts by the government in power to gag and, of course, create what does not exist, in a sense that there is no substance in these allegations or these statements that are coming from agencies of government. What are your thoughts along those lines?
Thank you, Sonny Dukes. On Thursday this week, I watched it on Arise TV when the director of the State Security Service was accusing Nigerians of a plot to truncate the swearing-in ceremony of the president-elect and then to form an interim government. It's very laughable and a monumental disgrace to such a governmental department. Who can form an interim government if not the government in power? Who can truncate the swearing of the president-elect if not the government in power? Are they coming out to watch that dirty linen? If you're already afraid you've done what is not acceptable to the populace, why not retreat your step? I do not see the possibility. What prowess do we have? Ordinary commoner in the street that will go to the government and say you can't swear in and then want to form an interim government. That can only be done by the government of the day. So when the DSS, security agencies, come out to accuse Nigerians, that is the highest point of provocation. What are they looking for? These are the government that will not give us our naira. They will send policemen to beat up people who want their money from the bank. This is the government who have failed in our application. I am sorry. a plot by people to truncate the swearing on the government list. Please name them. Please bring them out. Are you not in position to arrest them? Are you in position to bring them and let them confess in the public? You're making a huge lie, a deliberate falsehood to confuse the country.
Okay.
This cannot be acceptable.
All right,
So
Mr. Amora, but let me just pause you for a moment and take you on some key points.
okay.
The agency of government in question is also referred to as secret police. And their
Yes.
duties, you know, as much as I know too, is to ferret for information that will help to ensure that there is stability of the country. Like they always say, in every rumor, there's an element of truth. If such an agency comes out to say, from their investigation, from their findings, this is what is being planned, I mean, should we just wave it aside like you're doing with some of the comments that you are making, that it's only the government? Yes.
There are secret security agencies to collect information,
Yes.
write a security report, and implement it. It's not meant for the air. It's not meant to terrorize the public. It has a genuine fear that there's a likely, what you are saying, that there's going to be treason. That's the meaning of that. If there's going to be a powerful force that can stop the swearing in of a government and can even form a new government, that is treason. That's overthrow. If they are aware of such information, they have statistics and data in their hand, what are they waiting for? They need to announce it. Why don't you arrest them and show them court and then put them on trial? Coming to the air to say we have found out. In fact, it's disgrace, like I said. It's a security agency that's meant to do their underground investigation, collect data, do the arrest, and then let us hear what is the means, what is the likelihood, where is the wherewithal. How do they have guns? Do they have machine guns? Are they in the bags? Or is it indicting some people in this government? Or is it indicting some people in Aso Rock? If you talk of the poor civil society, in fact, it's a disgrace, I'll repeat again. So if the security agencies will find out a genuine fear that there's likely to be an overthrow government, there's likely to be a coup, there's likely to be a disruption not contemplated by the Constitution. We expected.
Yeah, but you're the one making these insinuations. They didn't say an overthrow of government. They didn't say a coup, all of that. I mean, those are very weighty words that you're using. They talked about plots to scuttle the inauguration. That's what they talked about. Yeah. So we need to put that in proper perspective.
I'm not lying, I'm interpreting. The moment you are going to be able to truncate swearing of a new government, and then you're not going to elongate the coming government, will there be a vacuum in leadership? No. What this person is saying is that there is a plot to stop Bola from being sworn in.
Yes.
And then, if that is possible, what follows then? Echo.
Okay, all right, by somewhere, but let me pause you there, and I'll come back to you in a moment. Let's get back to the studio as we have Barrister Greg Yai. Barrister Yai, this issue reached on for the better part of this week, with immediately the DSS brought out that statement. We saw the reactions that trailed it, and then there were talks about protest, on Inauguration Day and all of that. The federal government came out to say, this should not be entertained. But for those who have misgivings about the outcomes of the election, we are aware that some of them have already approached the court to seek redress. Shouldn't we leave it at that? For those who are alleged to be planning some of these things, shouldn't they wait for the outcomes of these issues that have been presented to the tribunals and to the courts, as it were?
Yes. I think it's the constitutional right of every Nigerian to approach a court.
Okay.
And it's also a constitutional right to protest and to protest peacefully.
Okay.
The only thing I wouldn't agree with is if the protestants violate. But if they are carrying placards, because there's one thing about democracy. Anybody who is aggrieved must be allowed lawful means to ventilate his views, his anger against the system, against an institution, or against some individuals. But if you are shutting out and you are stifling, the means of people expressing, the anger they have or the dissatisfaction they have about the outcome of an election, of what use is it? And let's go to the root of it. We've always said it, that if an election is free and fair, all these issues will not even arise. So if people are feeling that the election was not free and it wasn't fair, and they are carrying out a peaceful protest, whether it's on the day of inauguration or not, it amounts to nothing harmful to the states. I mean, individual people in some climes, they carry protests. I've been in London when Margaret Thatcher was the prime minister. They carried protests to the doorstep of 10 Downing Street, and they were drawing her skirts. She only used her hand to wave them off, and she entered her office. So I don't know what's the big deal about people protesting if they are not violent. The only thing the government can say is that, please, the protest should not be violent. I mean, it's just expressing their dissatisfaction. And then you, the government, you take note of their message. The matter is already in court. There are people, even when the matter is in court, they carry out protests in front of the court. They are not disallowed. So I think the government is just being jittery about this issue. And there is no need for it, because it only creates more anxiety, and then it worsens the tension in the polity.
Okay. Engineer Kayode, let's get your perspectives on this. This action by the federal government banning protest on Inauguration Day, based on the allegation and the revelation by DSS of plots to truncate the inauguration, are these reflections of a government that is jittery, or the government is standing up to its responsibility to ensure that there is peace and tranquility, there is a smooth transition of power from the outgoing government to the incoming government, as it were?
Well, the layers in the House have really set it up. You see, there can be peace when there's injustice. That is certain. There's no smoke without fire. Obviously, DSS, if they are doing their job properly, they must have heard, or they must have seen some few things that points to the fact that there will be attempts to scuttle the inauguration of the president-elect. But the job goes beyond that. As a matter of fact, they are not supposed to come on air and announce that some people are planning to. They're supposed to arrest them, name names, and prosecute them accordingly. That they have not done. That makes it laughable. In other climes, Europe, America, they will just be looking at us. Are these people serious at all? Do they really know what they call democracy? It's not funny. They are not doing it correctly at all. And as for protests, we need to say it loud once again, as it has always been pointed out. There is that need to protest when you want to protest. But within the ambit, within the purview of the law, you cannot go violent. You can protest. Even in the house, your children should be allowed to ventilate their feelings without being rude, without being riotous. That is humanity, that is justice. So the government cannot, even a military government, it's difficult unless they want to kill people. For military government to say, no, there mustn't be protests. There will always be protests, anywhere in the world. Anywhere, even in America, the 10 Downing Street, in the UK, they protest. They protest against the president, they protest against the system, they protest against injustices. But they should do it within the purview, within the ambit of the law, without going violent. When they say you're required to get police permit before you protest, what the police permit really portends is that the police should be there to ensure that even the protest is not hijacked.
Okay.
That's the way it is. That's the permit that is needed. It's not the permit that police can say, no, you must not protest. No, it's not so. It's enshrined in the Constitution that there is rights of association, there is right to protest, but there is no right for violence. There's no right for riots or rioting. And there's no right for the protest that is otherwise peaceful to be hijacked by hoodlums and other people who have other motives. Yeah. So we cannot downplay the possibility of some disgruntled elements who may want to scuttle the inauguration of the president-elect. But we can only say it loud, especially the media and other agencies of government.
Okay.
Let it clear that, look, you cannot stop installation of a president-elect. If there are things to be discussed, if there are things that you don't agree with, the parties are already, the last time I count, I got 4 parties are already in court.
Yeah.
So that's the place to go. That's the way civilization goes.
Okay. All right. So, Barrister Greg Iyai, yes. You said that even in civilized climes, people protest. I mean, you gave an instance of how former Prime Minister of UK, Margaret Thatcher, of blessed memory, her skirt was held. I mean, the protest, she just waved it away and then moved in. But you are familiar with protests in this country that usually turns violent and sometimes hijacked to the detriment of those who actually wanted to make it peaceful, as it were. So what have you got to say about that?
I think, just like the engineer has said, you see, the reason the police may be invited is to protect the protesters.
Good.
And then also to protect the protests from being hijacked by hoodlums. It is not whether, it's our right to protest and to protest within the ambit of the law. If the protest is not going to be violent, you cannot, if the protesters are going to be able to make sure that it's not hijacked, are going to be able to make sure that it's not violent, then they don't even need the permission, the police permit. Yeah. But if the police permit is applied for, it is to protect them, because there might be some thugs who want to attack them for protesting, and who may also want to, fifth columnists, who want to come in and then sabotage the aim of the protest itself. The government should not be jittery. And all you can say, okay, the people who are planning this protest, you can invite them. If you have an interface, please, we want to ensure that this protest is peaceful. I mean, we want to ensure that this protest is also not hijacked. And the protest should not be to stop the inauguration. But I mean, you can pass your message by the protest. And then you can even volunteer. Why should the government, the DSS can go there and make sure that the protest is not hijacked. You know, they can come in and protect the protesters. Okay. You know, this is what should be done. Because you don't beat a child and tell the child not to cry.
All right. Barrister Kingsley Omura, but let's get back to you. But I'd like you to be a bit calm. I know that as a human rights lawyer, sometimes and most times the energy is very, very high. What is your greatest misgivings about the release by the DSS warning Nigerians of plots to scuttle the inauguration of Mr. President? Because I mean the president-elect. I also know that every now and then we also talk about the fact that most government agencies don't engage the public to update them, to inform them, keep them abreast with the happenings and doings of government. If the DSS has done something in that direction, shouldn't we applaud them for keeping us abreast and updated with some of these developments, so we can all be involved in the process of helping to scuttle whatever plan is being made to also scuttle the inauguration of the president-elect, as it were?
Thank you, Senator. You see, there are misgivings in all these things. If you remember during Abacha era, how a phantom coup was planned, Dia, Oladebajo and Co. Adisa were all arrested, tried, and the eve of the execution, the man died. I'm sure this is not a plan to arrest a particular presidential candidate. Because you see, when they say, look, people are planning to protest, they want to stop protest. I want to really strengthen what the last speaker said. You do not beat a child and expect you to not cry. We do not need police permit to cry in this country. We do not need police permit to be able to shout violence and the fundamental cause. Nobody asks for violence. But when those who make peaceful change impossible, make violent change inevitable, the people who cry, and will cry to the last man, like Rachel, wailing the line of Philippines, wailing for her children, she refused to be consoled because they were no more. If indeed they have done the right thing, why are they afraid of crying? Why are they afraid of people coming to protest? Why are they afraid that protest might be hijacked? there will be real mayhem. So we are saying, they have told us, let us go to court. We are in court. Please, for God's sake, let the court be court. And the court is God will come out victorious. I do not start anybody. Look, I'm known, I've been in protest for so many years, over 42 years now. But you see, it's only a way of registering your anger and disagreement with the policy of government. It is not to fight or overthrow or stop anything from being done. If this is done legitimately, the court sits as a real court and hear evidence, validate the evidence, and give us judgment. There won't be protest. There won't be rioting. They won't be burning down tires. It is when this whole system has failed, the people have no other way to ventilate the anger than to protest. That's when you say protest actually hijacked. My fear is that the people right now, they are all turbulent. Everybody is angry in the land. What do we do? Yes, they should allow the president-elect to be inaugurated. And yet, we should go to court. When the court says they want to dance with gallery, all right. Because we have seen a lot of surprise judgment in this case, in this court. But you see, whatever it is, we will be another time. Another 4 years will come. I advise peace, which will actually come down. But do not frighten us. Do not threaten us. When DSS come out to speak, is it talking to parents, school children? It's talking to his superiors. Because we are the people's deputy. We put them there, and they should respect us and talk to us as their superiors. The taxpayers are paid his salary. So beginning to warn us is an affront, and you should mind the language you use. That's my own. That's my own.
All right, thank you, Barrister Kesley Omera, but we'll come back to you in a moment. Yes. If you just join us, this is Politics Today on independent television and radio. Beautiful Saturday morning, the first day in the month of April 2023, the fourth month in the year. And we're saying Happy New Month to all our viewers and listeners all across the world from wherever you're joining us. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we will continue with our conversation on inauguration of the president-elect and alleged threats to scuttle the process based on a revelation made by the Department of State Security Services, DSS, also known as the Secret Police, a story that came forth within the middle of the week, and it became a major talking point across the country. And some opposition parties have also called out the Secret Police to say, look, if you have such an information, you should have the names of those who are planning to scuttle the inauguration of the president-elect. We would like to know those names. But that's why they are Secret Police. They mustn't reveal everything to the public, because when they do, it probably could also affect their operations and their planning and their strategies. We'll look at that and lots more when we return on the program Politics Today on independent television and radio. Please stay with us. Once again, we thank you for rejoining us on Politics Today on independent television and radio. Let's just keep tabs with some of the stories that are trending in the political scene, and then we'll be back to continue our discussion, and our studio line will be open as well, so you can call and be part of the discussion. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has presented certificates of return to the governors-elect in 26 states where winners have been declared following the conclusion of the March 18 elections. Also, certificates were also presented to the lawmakers-elect in the relevant state legislatures across the 36 states of the Federation. So far, the results of 26 of the 28 governorship elections have been announced, leaving the elections in Kebbi and Adamawa, which were declared inconclusive. Supplementary elections are to be held in both states on Saturday, April 15. The All Progressives Congress, APC, won in 15 states, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in 9 states, while the Labour Party and the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, won in 1 each. In all, the ruling APC won in 15 states, including 7 re-elected governors. The party also secured wins for 8 new candidates. Still on INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission has fixed Saturday, April 15 for governorship and national and state assembly supplementary elections. INEC said, arising from its meeting held Monday, the Independent National Electoral Commission has decided that all outstanding governorship, national and state assembly supplementary elections will take place on Saturday, 15th April 2023. It will be recalled that 26 state governorship, 104 senatorial, and 329 federal and 935 state constituency elections have been concluded and winners declared. Consequently, supplementary governorship election will be held in Adamawa and Kebbi states, 5 senatorial districts, 31 federal, and 58 state assembly constituencies. Owing to the competitive nature of the elections, especially for legislative seats, supplementary elections will be held in just a few polling units in some constituencies. A comprehensive list of the polling units by state, local government, registration area, registered voters, and PVCs collected will be published on INEC's website on or before Wednesday, 29th March 2023. And we hope that INEC has done that, just to keep you updated what is happening in the political scene. All right, so we're back to the studio now, continue our conversation on alleged threats to inauguration of the president-elect and plans to protest on that day. Is a raging issue that dominated discussion for the better part of this week. So we're back to the studio with our panelists now. Mr. Greg Yai, what is the way out of this situation, against the background that most times when there are protests, it doesn't always come out well. Doesn't always come out well. Either we have properties destroyed. I mean, take for example the protest on the cash swap deal with the scarcity of naira. It was meant to be a peaceful protest, but banks are yet to recover from the destruction that is suffered from that protest. So I'd like you to take it off from that point.
I think we are not too good at crisis management. You remember we were in the studio here, we said the bank crisis and cash crunch went on for a very long time. Nobody came out to talk to the people. Government officials didn't come out. Elected governors did not come out. Legislators did not come out. The people were just left. No food, no money, no light, no petrol. They were pushed to the wall. And even when they protested, let me say this very clearly. You see, the rules of engagement, and generally accepted global best practices require that even when the security agencies are engaging unarmed protesters, that they should keep to the rule. Even in real war situation, where your enemy is armed, you don't just shoot him when you see him. If he doesn't fire at you, you take him as a prisoner of war. And when you take him as a prisoner of war, you don't kill him. If he's hungry, you feed him. If he's thirsty, you give him water. We have seen that in real battles. So what is it? Unarmed protesters. Look at what happened at Central Bank. Unarmed protesters. Just calling on the Central Bank, 3 people died on the spot. Up till now, as we are talking, that axis is blocked. The man hours that are lost to the individual economy, corporate economy, the state economy, by people having to take detours, spend more fuel, spend more hours. Nobody is talking about it. You can't access Ring Road through a Central Bank. Okay, you are taking blood on that spot. What more do you need? Why not open that place? So we don't have the government engaging people who are aggrieved. Why can't the IG talk to the people who are going to lead this protest and say, please, constitutionally protest is allowed, but maybe you will take the protest away from certain meters from the inauguration center. And this is how you conduct yourself. What is bad in the IG sending people to make sure that they are not attacked, the protest is not hijacked? Is there anything bad in that? I don't think there's anything bad in that. Why are we so... You distance yourself from the problems of the people, you distance yourself from the people, and then you come back. Where were the DSS men? When talks were threatening that you don't vote for people in this party, that we are going to arrest you, we are going to deal with you. Where was the DSS? When traditional rulers and tribal leaders, tribal warlords were threatening other people, did they come out to come and arrest them? Did they come out to defend the people? Where were they when thugs were beating Nigerians, shooting Nigerians during the election? We didn't see them. We didn't see their footprints. They left the people on their own, and you are not coming out to come and threaten that you will do this, you will do that. We don't advocate violent protest, but people should be allowed to protest within the ambit of the law. They must not be prevented. It is not, unless you just want to shed innocent blood.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Greg. Yeah, a bit of emotions there. That's understandable because of the issues at stake. Engineer Coyote, I've heard people say these plans to protest, for example, on Inauguration Day, is reflections of the misgivings about some Nigerians on the outcome of the presidential election. Do you share in these sentiments?
Yes and no. You see, there are a lot of things wrong with that, the conduct of that election. First of all, you notice that from 1999, in fact, from 1979, when we started attempt at democracy, it was truncated in 1983 and so on, up to 1999, 2003, 2007, we have been having about 60, 57, 54% voters turnout. This election, the turnout was the worst. We have only about 26% of the voters. Of the 93 million voters, only 26 million voted. That means you have 26 million voting to represent over 200 million Nigerians. That's less than 10%. So you can see that talking technically, it's not a reflection of the generality of Nigerians. Now, how did it happen? So many reasons. People are general apathy that our votes will not count. Well, we have been voting before, they have not been relevant. Again, INEC's logistic problems. At times, when somebody goes out to vote at 8 o'clock and by 12:31 they're not there, people left for their houses, for their respective houses. Again, security issue. They say, oh look, how should I go and queue and get killed or get intimidated? Just like the barrister said, you get to the station, they say, look, if you are not from a part of the country, I mean, if you are not for a particular party, you cannot stay here, you cannot vote, you cannot be on this line. So a lot of things, apathy. Then again, the one that really dampened the enthusiasm is the issue of the bimodal voters accreditation system, visas. Is the in thing. It works all over the world. Even in Africa, it has worked. Even in Nigeria here, it has worked in 3-4 states, Osun, Ekiti, and which other state? Anambra. It has worked.
Elections.
Why did it not work during the presidential election? Again, INEC, through the instrumentality of the spokesperson and directorate of media and whatever, they told us that they will upload the results from all the wards, and you can check them on IREF. You can sit down in your sitting room and collate the figures, and before they even announce it, you know who wins. It refused to work that day. So a lot of things whereby Beavers could have helped, right? Where we could have trusted the system, at least whatever happens, you can say that there was no stopping of ballot box. It was not possible. When that one was not possible, then how come the IREF, the upload of the results of the wards to the server, how come it didn't work? It worked in other places. It worked in Kenya. It worked even in Nigeria, 4 states before now. So you can see that a lot of things are wrong. People are dissatisfied. People are disgruntled. People are, they say, oh, it's like we have been shortchanged.
Okay. All right, Mr. Kisle Omerabo, let's come back to you now to get your perspective. I've heard people say that Nigerians are bad losers when it comes to contestation. Isn't that what these developments that are coming to the fore about? Is it not reflective of Nigerians not being good losers, as it were?
Well, I subscribe to that to some extent. Actually, most people in this country don't accept defeat. And it's also a virtue. When you know you have been shortchanged, you cannot accept it. When you genuinely contest an election and you see that the rogues and those who could rig and buy votes are being celebrated, it's natural for you to react. But if there's let us just put a town union or an organization like just ITV, if the Rata would there conduct election and we know the popular candidate and people voted for him, even when the other opponent is not happy, he will go and lick his wound. But not when he knows that management rigged it to favor a particular candidate. So he'll be angry. The generals are bad losers because of the fundamental cause of their losing. So when we talk of people reacting and they don't always accept defeat, was there a defeat in the first place? How can you contest election before the results are out, the other man is telling you go to court? What does he have in the court? Who is in the court? They are fellow Nigerians. Who is in the court? Voted. Both the judges and the lawyers, they went to vote too. So the army, they voted. The problem we have is this. We easily believe we teach to the winner or those who have it. Yes, because if indeed I have been a contestant for over 19 or over 40 years now, I contest for the Senate, for councillor, contest for the House of Assembly, contest for the senatorial seat, I contest for the governorship. When I know that I genuinely lose, I've never been to court because I know that I do not belong to the popular mandate. Because the problem is the electorate. Do they know what they want? They are no longer capable of choosing their leader because they have been so impoverished that they only vote for stomach infrastructure. Why will I blame anybody there? When I know that when I can't tell what have voted for me, it's not go near to do the declare winner. It's not because that's what I'm quarreling with now. It's a candidate, for example, when I contested for the Senate, we had three. One was an engineer, one was a contractor. And we're talking about people who's going to make law. They choose whoever they choose. They don't have the people. Who are you to now question them? That's what they want. And they go to court. So I'm a bad person in that aspect. But if you have changed me, and you have spent money, and you have snatched ballot boxes, and I know of it, and I have the record of it, I will not be a good loser. We'll go to court. Even if the court says no, after the court, we'll go to God. But in this case,
Okay, Pastor, let me pause it. I'll come back to you in a moment. Yes, let's talk about the issue of Nigerians being bad losers. Some Nigerians being bad losers, and I've heard people say, like I mentioned a while ago to Pastor Kisto Morombo, that I've heard people say this is what is playing out with all of these issues about plans and plots to scuttle inauguration. Yeah.
You see, they cannot put lunch on your table and I take it without your permission. Then I will say go to courts. You see what is happening during in this nation. We have seen under one administration, election was done in Ondo. The party that was not in power at federal level won. Labour won. They gave it to Mimiko. In Ekiti, PDP won. They gave it to Fayose. Yeah. In Edo, Oshomole won APC, and it was given to him. In Anambra, Abga won, and it was given to him. Was there any crisis? There was no crisis because the election was conducted. And I'm not saying that some people might not have protested the result. But when you see that election was conducted free, fair, credible, it is easier to be a good loser. Did Jonathan not lose presidential election? A sitting president, he took the telephone in Nigeria. So when you are saying Nigerians are bad losers, I don't understand what people are saying. He took the phone, even they had not finished voting. People were still on the queue. But he tabulated everything. That even if I get all the votes of those people still on the line, that is not going to make me the winner. He picked the phone and he congratulated Buhari. And he handed over power peacefully. You know, so I don't understand. People can't be bad losers if you cheat them. And I feel we should think of the process, a free, fair, credible election. It will be easy to have people who congratulate themselves. You know, and they join hands Because Nigeria belongs to all of us.
Absolutely.
We have no other country.
Absolutely.
And then we join hand in building building the nation or building the
All
state.
right, Engineer Kayode, yes, quickly. Nigerians being bad losers, are you subscribe to that?
No, certainly not. You see, in science, we say action and reactions equal and opposite. And in philosophy, they say there is law of cause and effects. Something will always bring something to come. Nigerians are not bad losers per se. I can tell you this one. Yes, the president, there's a president-elect in place. That's Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But this, I've been around. I voted in 1979, so you can guess my age. I've been around for some time. I was already in the university in 1979 anyway. So what I'm trying to say is this. This particular election, the level of jubilation, the level of, what do you call it, enthusiasm. You know, even after declaring a president-elect, it's probably the lowest. You can't just oppose it.
Okay. All right. Let's quickly open our studio line so you can also call and be part of the discussion. It's still Politics Today on independent television and radio. Pastor Kislo Omerabo, quickly share with us your thoughts. This trend in our political process where most times it has to be the judiciary, particularly, that is the bench and the bar that decides who becomes the authentic candidate. I mean, our political process is replete with incidents where this has become the norm. And then you have a conversation along the lines of the fact that there seems to be a shift from the people actually deciding who governs them to the judiciary deciding who governs the people. I'd like to get your perspective on this as quickly as possible.
Honestly, as a patriotic Nigerian, it's a very saddening situation where few or 3 or 5 or 6 or 7 judges of the Supreme Court will now decide to become the governor of the state against the wishes of the people. And even who becomes the president of the country or becomes the legislator, it is not the duty of the judiciary. It is the politician that goes there when they are fully aggrieved. And it starts from even the nomination process. The party do not allow internal democracy to exist. Therefore, only those who play to the guard of the godfathers that are nominated. And when there's aggrieved in the internal regulation of the party, people are bound to be angry. And then the election result comes out, people say no, he did not win. And really may not have really won. But because the power that be want somebody to protect them when they leave, and then they put them there. And at the end of the day, what do you see? Protest. So it is true that this country, it is the judges now who decide who becomes. Let me give you, for example, Amechi. Amechi did not contest election in this country. When he became governor, that is because he wanted to participate in the nomination process and was deprived. And he went to court from High Court down to Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said no. The election, it is the party that has been voted for, not the individual candidate. And since Amechi was the right candidate that was not allowed to contest, Amechi became governor. And Sergio Moja has taken everybody to come from that position. You can imagine people didn't even know whether Amechi contested, and they disposing on them as a governor. So we have been. So I do not know what other system we will go to.
Okay.
If God is not allowed to.
All right, let me take some calls by Sakista Omera, but let's take some calls. Hello, caller. Okay. Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Advocate. I'm calling from Igwebe.
All right, sir. Advocate, go ahead, please. Good to hear your voice again.
Yeah, salute your guest there. They have analyzed it critically, and that is the situation. Especially the guest from Warri. You have said it. How can somebody who is not in power restore an interim government? It's true to us because we don't know the scripts these people play to us. It's very surprising. How can somebody, how possible is it? Somebody who is not in power, how will he restore an interim government? That's my area of concern. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Advocate. We appreciate you. 080-7777-0300 is our studio number. Good morning, caller. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Good morning. Hello, good morning, caller. Hello, go ahead and talk to us. Good morning. Okay, we have others waiting in the line to make their contribution. Good morning, caller, please. Once you come on, just go ahead and make your contribution. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning, sir. I'm Mrs. Blessing.
Okay, Mrs. Blessing, where are you talking to us from?
Benin. You see?
All right, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
I just want to contribute.
Yes, go ahead, Mrs. Blessing. Go ahead.
And we were too much in a haste to announce a presidential election results. That is what is bringing this rating and underrating of the nation.
Okay.
People in power want to plant those who they want to be there. And the masses are saying, no, it cannot come because we did not vote for that person. So what they could have done is they could have exercised some patience to check in and out and to know if you have failed. There is no point saying some people are against you. You have failed, you have failed. Then we could have waited. We were too impatient to announce the result. That is what is causing all these hiccups. Okay,
thank you, Madam Blessing. The election has taken place. Of course, you may not have voted for whoever emerged, but other people voted. And INEC has a responsibility to announce results, and they've done so. And they've also told those who are aggrieved to approach the court, and some have already done that as well. Anyways, we have this next caller. Good morning, caller. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Sir.
Good morning. What's your name?
Calling from Benin.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, my conclusion is that I think there is a problem here that I've observed. When people assume that because I voted for somebody or people in my area, this person is voted for, then that person must be declared. Because you are not here, you are not in other places where that is voted. And the results that were announced, you can see that this result show that the other person won. But you have this belief that your person won. And there's no other thing that you want to understand other than the fact that your person won. And that's why we are having this issue. See, my problem is that why will you not fix your results with constitutional means? We have seen that in this country, people have sought results and they have won it. One of your panelists said, Osomole, he mentioned Ondo, mentioned Ekiti, mentioned Edo, which we have had. People in Bayelsa recently, we have it that APC won an election, but they gave it to PDP because the deputy governor had an issue with his certificate. So all these things are played out. But I don't know why. What they are doing now is to truncate democracy. If you say you believe in democracy, then you must not truncate it by your actions.
Okay.
You should try as well as possible to follow due process in everything you do. That's my conclusion. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, caller. Make your presentation and contribution brief so others can take their turns. Hello, caller. Good morning. Let us know your name and where you're calling from. Yes, go ahead, please.
My name is Mr. Wonderful. I'm calling from Benin.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Wonderful.
The first thing is that we need to look at the way this election took place. Because in my area, in my ward, there were a lot of controversies. And at the end, they were shooting gun. They collected our ballot, everything. They collected it and left. And again, too, the Yakubu, this thing that the chairman, he was in a hurry to announce it. I thank God that we all know how it is. Have you in Nigeria, have you ever seen the result called before you wake up in the morning? No. And again, when they declare this, the president-elect, did you see any jubilation? No. To the extent,
there were jubilations. There were jubilations in some parts of the country. There were jubilations in Lagos. There were jubilations in Kano and some other places. Yeah.
That is not the plan of Nigeria. That is why they are planning of different things because many of them are going to court. Of which, if the judges, the courts want to rewrite their name in sound of time, this is the time we are waiting for.
Okay, thank you very much. Our time is far spent on this segment of the show. Well, let's just take our last call on the program today. Hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us? So you're live on Politics Today. Yes, good morning. Yes, go ahead. Where are you calling us from?
Yeah, this is Pastor Martins calling from Benin.
Yes, Pastor Martins, please go ahead and make it quick.
Okay, I want to let us know something. That whatever has happened with the election, hello, can you hear me, please?
Pastor Martins, we have to take you up because you are talking and at the same time you want to hear yourself on television or listen to yourself on radio, and that distorts the flow. We gave you all that time to contribute, but you didn't use it judiciously. I'm sorry about that. Hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name?
Good morning.
Yes, talk to us. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Benin.
Yes, go ahead with your contribution, please.
I'm Engineer Dixon.
Engineer Dixon, please go ahead.
The problem we are having in this country is this. We are not facing the truth. If we are not ready to hand over to the so-called president-elect.
Okay, that's much we can take on the phone-in segment of the show, Politics Today, on independent television and radio. Let's just quickly update you one more time with some of the stories that are trending in the political scene. The Benue State Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has already given the former chairman of the party suspension, has also suspended the Kashi Philip-led Igirov Ward ESCO in the Gboko local government area of the state over the crisis that led to the suspension of the party's former national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu. The acting chairman of the PDP in Benue State, Isaac Mfo, at a press briefing in Makurdi on Thursday, said the Igirov Ward executive is suspended for 1 month to allow for peace to be restored. He also said the State Working Committee will henceforth take charge of the political affairs of the party in Igirov Ward, where Ayu hails from. On Tuesday, the national body of the PDP appointed Umar Damagong as the acting national chairman of the party to replace Iyorchia Ayu. The National Working Committee, NWC, of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, at an emergency meeting on Tuesday, March 28, 2023, acknowledged the order of the Benue State High Court dated March 27, 2023, with regards to the chairmanship position of the party. The National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Debo Olugunagba, said in a statement on Tuesday, after careful consideration of the court order and in line with Section 45, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the PDP as amended in 2017, the NWC resolved that the Deputy National Chairman North, His Excellency Ambassador Umar Elia Damago, assumes the national chairmanship of our party in acting capacity. So I've heard people say that the first victim of the 2023 presidential election is the national chairman of the PDP, Senator Iyorchia Ayu. But we have seen other victims too, because the ward executive in his own ward has also been suspended by the party. Anyways, let's take our final shot, as we call it, a wrap on the show. Barrister Omerabo, quickly give us your perspective. I mean, we have some supplementary elections coming up in Kebbi State and in Adamawa State, where there seems to be a push for the first female governor in Nigeria. I mean, there's a lot of emotion surrounding that, considering what how the tension has been in that state. But the electorate in that state will actually decide who they want ultimately. Let's get a take on this here.
Well, my own take is that we should allow the vote count. Let the electorate decide. And together we take the justice of Nigeria now. Enough is enough. Let us get this right. So I will not always waiting for protest and rioting. Vote and what is right.
All right, thank you.
My prayer.
Yes.
We should come to.
Thank you, Barrister Kesto Morabo. Barrister Gregory, final take.
I think all eyes are on the judiciary right now. and the judiciary should do exactly what the law requires.
Okay.
Then on the local level, please, let the government prevail on central bank to remove the barricades leading to ring roads.
All right, Engineer Adeni, final word.
Well, I can only wish Nigeria the very best, but I pray that we have the process, process and institutions in place that will ensure that we won't have to go to protest before, and we don't have to go to court every time.
All right, that's our package for today on the program Politics Today on Independent Television and Radio. Big thanks to everyone that made the program a huge success. Barrister Kisto Morabo, thank you so much for joining us. Barrister Greg Iyayi and Engineer Kade Adeniji, thank you so much for coming to the studio. And to all our viewers and listeners all across the world, thank you for your commitment to the show. I'm Sonny Duke Okosun, wishing you a great weekend ahead. Bye for now.